All right, Raider Nation. This week is a big one for me. Yep, I'm getting married. So if you didn't get me anything for the wedding, don't worry. I'm not asking for much. All I need is for you to hit that subscribe button and keep riding with us here. Now let's get into what you really came here for. The Las Vegas Raiders and the trade rumors heating up as we get deeper into the offseason. This one's going to be a bit longer, so settle in, because we're about to dive deep into the 4 players that I believe are at the center of trade talks right now. And trust me, it's not just speculation. There's actual movement behind the scenes, and whether we like it or not, these names could be on the block sooner than we think. Now, I want to be clear about something before we get started. I'm not sitting here saying that I want these players to be traded. On the contrary, I actually believe all 4 guys I'm going to talk about could help this team win football games in 2025. But let's be honest with ourselves. When you're building a roster, when you've got new leadership, and when you've had back-to-back years of front office turnover, certain names are going to naturally come up. That's just part of the business. With mandatory minicamp kicking off on June 10th, it's only logical that the organization is evaluating every player on this roster. So right now, while the final assessments are being made from OTAs and before full-blown camp intensity ramps up, this is the time a front office might say, you know what? If we get a strong offer or if a player is unhappy with their role, let's explore some options. And speaking of evaluations, let's start with Dylan Parm. Look, Parm has been a starter for 3 straight seasons. The guy has played almost 3,000 snaps in the NFL. That's no small feat. He's played left guard, center, right guard, and even right tackle back in college. He's a versatile lineman with a high football IQ. I don't care what team you are, having a player like that who's been through multiple coaching staffs, multiple systems, and can still adapt and contribute, that's a valuable asset. But here's the tricky part. Parm is entering the final year of his rookie deal. He becomes a free agent in 2026, and right now, word out of Raiders camp is that Jordan Meredith might actually be ahead of him in the battle for that left guard spot. So imagine you're Dylan. You've been starting for 3 years. You've played through changes and chaos, and now you're being told you might lose your spot. It makes sense that he might want a fresh opportunity somewhere else. On top of that, if the Raiders did decide to move on, they'd save $3.7 million. That's real cap space. The team acquiring him takes on that amount, while the Raiders would only have to eat $228,000. From a financial perspective, that's a very manageable move for both sides. Now, let's talk suitors. When you think about teams that could be interested, you've got to keep in mind who originally brought Parm into the league. Dave Ziegler, now with the Titans, and Josh McDaniels, now the offensive coordinator in New England, both had a hand in drafting a lot of these guys we're talking about today. So the Patriots and Titans are going to come up multiple times. But the team I'd be looking at seriously for Parm? The New York Giants. Their interior offensive line still has major question marks. They brought in some former Raiders linemen like Jermaine Elemunor and Greg Van Roten, both of whom played their best football under Carmen Briseño, who also coached Parm during his first 2 years, which coincidentally were his best seasons. If a trade were to happen, I think something like Parm and a 7th round pick going to New York in exchange for a 2026 5th rounder would make a lot of sense. It's not a flashy trade, but it fills a need for the Giants. Gives Parm a legitimate shot to start and allows the Raiders to get value before potentially losing him for nothing. Again, I'm not saying I want this to happen. I'm just saying don't be surprised if it does. Now, let's pivot to another name that might raise some eyebrows. Trey Tucker. Oh, this one is a bit more nuanced. I don't think the Raiders are actively shopping Tucker. But let's look at the context. The team used 3 draft picks this year on wide receivers, Jack Beck, Dante Thornton Jr., and Tommy Mellott. That's 3 new guys competing for spots in a room that already has Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, and others. So if you're looking at who's on the bubble and you see a player like Tucker, who was drafted by a previous regime, it makes sense that his name is being floated around. The financials are straightforward. Trading Tucker now saves the Raiders about 1 point. $2 million. Any team picking him up would only have to take on that amount, and the Raiders would eat just over $200,000. But let's not kid ourselves. Despite the ups and downs, Tucker has shown flashes. He's got legit 4.3 speed. He's a vertical threat. He contributes on special teams. And get this, pound for pound, he might be the strongest guy on the roster. That's not my opinion. That came straight from a player in the locker room last season. And on top of that, he's a great blocker, which is rare for a guy with his size and speed. Tucker played in 33 games, started 15, and caught 47 passes for over 500 yards and 3 scores last year. And let's not forget, those numbers came in one of the worst offenses in the NFL. The quarterback carousel, the coaching instability, it all matters. If he had consistent play calling and a quarterback that could get the ball downfield, who knows what those numbers would have looked like? So let's say a team like the Cleveland Browns comes calling. Tucker's from Canton, Ohio. It would be a homecoming of sorts. They're thin at wide receiver, and they need depth. Here's the crazy trade idea I'd throw out. Trade Tucker for Greg Newsome straight up. I know, it sounds wild. Newsome's a former first rounder, plays nickel corner, and yeah, he had a rough year. But if you're the Raiders and you're worried about the secondary, you might be willing to take a shot. Newsome's salary is significantly higher, which is why this could work. Cleveland offload salary gets a young weapon with upside, and Vegas adds a defensive piece. Now the third name on this list might be the most polarizing, Tyree Wilson. The number 7 overall pick in 2023, Wilson has all the tools you could ask for. He's 6'6", 275 pounds, can play on the edge or kick inside, and has raw athleticism that jumps off the screen. But here's the catch. He's had a rough start. Injuries have slowed him down, and frankly, he got thrown into the fire way too early last season due to the Chandler Jones situation. So while some fans are calling him a bust, I actually think 2024 will be his real rookie year. Post June 1st, the Raiders save about $3 million by trading him, though they would have to eat $3.8 million in dead cap. That's not ideal, but it's also not unmanageable. The new team picking him up, they get him on a cheap deal this year, just over $1 million, but they'd be on the hook for $8 million in 2026. So you're really betting on his upside and hoping you can unlock the potential that made him a top 10 pick in the first place. There are teams that would definitely take that gamble. Dallas and Houston make sense, simply because Wilson trains in Texas and is reportedly comfortable there. The Bills are another team I'd watch closely. With Von Miller aging and pass rush depth an issue, they might be willing to roll the dice. But the trade idea I'm going to pitch, Tyree Wilson to the Cowboys for Mazi Smith. Now listen, I know some people are going to hate this. Smith has not lived up to expectations, but he's a true nose tackle out of Michigan, and if the Raiders are worried about Christian Wilkins' injury status, they might want a big body to plug the middle. You're basically doing a first rounder for first rounder swap. Both guys have struggled. Both need a fresh start. This trade could work for both sides. And finally, the last name we need to talk about, Michael Mayer. This is the one that stings the most because I really think Mayer can be a special player. But the writing is on the wall. The Raiders drafted Brock Bowers in the first round this year. They added 2 tight ends in free agency. They picked up a couple of undrafted freak athletes at the position. It's clear that tight end is going to be a crowded room. And if Mayer feels like he's not the guy anymore, he might want to go somewhere he can be. The cap savings here are about $1.6 million, with the Raiders eating just under $1 million. That's a manageable number. Mayer was a second-round pick in 2023, but he had a first-round grade on a lot of boards. I remember some scouts comparing him to Jason Witten. Not a burner, not flashy, but smart, dependable, tough. And if we're being real, last year was weird. The coaching changes, the quarterback carousel, it all affected him. So I get why people might wonder if he wants to stick around. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL world was sent into a frenzy this week as rumors began circulating about an unprecedented and shocking possibility. Patrick Mahomes, the face of the Kansas City Chiefs and widely regarded as the best quarterback in the league, could be heading to the Las Vegas Raiders in what insiders are already calling a historic agreement. While no official confirmation has come from either organization, multiple sources close to the situation have hinted at intense and secret negotiations between the Raiders front office and Mahomes' representatives. The specifics of the alleged deal remain tightly under wraps, but early reports suggest it could be the most lucrative contract in NFL history, with some speculating about a potential ownership stake, extravagant bonuses, and of course, a record-shattering salary. If this rumor proves to be true, it would signify one of the most seismic shifts the league has ever seen. Mahomes, a two-time Super Bowl MVP and a player many consider to be a generational talent, has long been associated with the Chiefs' dominance in the AFC West. The idea of him donning the iconic silver and black of their bitter division rivals is almost unthinkable for many fans and analysts. Some experts believe this move could be part of a grander strategy by the Raiders management to rapidly transform the franchise into a perennial contender, especially following years of inconsistent performances. The potential addition of Mahomes would instantly alter the balance of power within the division. And perhaps the entire NFL skeptics, however, are urging caution. They point to Mahomes' long-term contract with the Chiefs, which was intended to keep him in Kansas City through 2031. Untangling that deal would require complex financial maneuvers and unprecedented cooperation from both teams and the player himself. As with all major NFL rumors, the truth remains elusive until officially confirmed. For now, fans are left wondering, could Patrick Mahomes really be preparing to swap red and gold for silver and black? One thing is certain, the entire football world will be watching closely. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.